Welcome to Thriving Out Loud, the podcast all about growth, strength, and living fully. This is the space where we go deeper than surface level fixes and quick tips. Here, it's all about what really makes us shine from the inside out. All right, today is gonna be a real one. We are talking about how to stop hating yourself and how to actually start loving yourself again. Keyword is again. And I know that's a heavy statement, but if you're listening to this, I have a feeling that you've been there. That quiet, constant feeling that you're not enough, not pretty enough, not doing enough, not likable enough, not cool enough. There's a good chance that you've had these thoughts, especially if you're a woman. And even if you're a man, this episode can be for you too, because this happens to everyone. But I'm going to be using many examples as a woman, or all my examples are going to be as a woman because I am a woman. And throughout my life, throughout my coaching career, I've been coaching mainly women. My female friends have a lot of these same issues. So I'm going to be talking about what I've noticed, the certain behaviors and patterns that are really deeply ingrained in us that we don't even realize how much they've shaped our confidence and our self-worth throughout the year. So today I want to talk about why you might be so hard on yourself, and more importantly, how to change it. Because the truth is, you were not born hating yourself. Let me say that again. You were not born hating yourself. You learned it. You learned it, which means you can unlearn it. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start with this, being invincible. From a really young age, women, or girls, I should say, are taught directly or indirectly to not be too much, to be a good girl, be polite, don't be too loud, don't draw too much attention, don't wear that, don't make anyone feel uncomfortable. And you saw the girls who were bold and confident and how people talked about them behind their back. She thinks she's all that. She's so extra, she's full of herself. Even me, I remember in grade 3, I was called a show off because I walked too straight. I mean, who has a hunchback in grade 3? Who has bad posture in grade 3? But that's how deep this goes. Like, wow, okay, I shouldn't be standing tall. I shouldn't be walking proud. What did I learn? And what do you learn from this? From observing how girls talk about each other or whatever, whoever's saying these things. We learn to shrink. We learn to change. We learn that what we are naturally is wrong and we need to blend in. So now, in order to feel safe, we want to not stand out. We try to be part of the group, to try to fit in, to try to be not too loud, not drawing too much attention because we don't want people saying that stuff about us. So now blending in starts to feel safer than standing out does. And you start to change yourself to be easygoing, to try to make everyone like you. And little by little, you change who you truly are. And that real amazing version of you, that real version that you love, she starts to disappear. So you learn to downplay your wins, reject compliments, try to hide your excitement because you don't want to be too much. And too much is the real you. And you start to think that too much is bad. In other words, the real you is bad and you start to think is not lovable. And if they don't think you're lovable, now you don't think you're lovable. And in time that becomes, you don't love yourself. So you learn to downplay your wins, reject compliments. I know you've all witnessed this, or you do it yourself, or both. You try to hide your excitement because you don't want to be too much. You know that feeling that's when someone compliments you and you instantly say like, no, I look terrible, or no. Like it makes you feel so uncomfortable. Why? Why is that most women can't take a freaking compliment. I find that very upsetting. I want to see women being like, heck yes. Heck yes, I look amazing. I put effort. This is a new outfit. I feel good. I look good. I can say that. Heck yes, I am a boss in business. Heck yes, I am successful. I don't want, and why can't we say that without being bitchy? Why? And that's what I want to change. I want to change this for you. Like, we should be able to be loud and take up space and feel freaking amazing without people, or who cares what people say? Those are not the people who are going to really love you. And that is not who you want in your circle. I want to have the people in my circle that say, Michelle, you look amazing. And I can say, thank you. Michelle, you are killing it at life. And I can say, thank you. You know, that want me to win as much as I want myself to win. You know, and first it takes you talking to yourself and believing in yourself. And then you'll attract your tribe. You'll attract the girls, the men, women, whoever, to stand by you and make you feel safe by being yourself. Because talking down to yourself is not humility and not being able to take a compliment. It's not being humble. It's a learned response. And it's funny because I was obsessed with Sex and the City. And I was in college when I started watching this. Like, it was fascinating to me because at the time there was not much racy stuff on television. And the character, if you know Samantha, she was just bold and in your face and unapologetically herself. And I was obsessed with her. And I think everyone is, because when they did the remake and she's not there, everybody is bummed. But anyway, her confidence was so amazing. Like, she just showed up as herself. And I was like, that is what I want to see for every woman. Be exactly who you are. You don't need to be a Samantha. What can you unapologetically think about yourself? If we all have to say, no, I'm not pretty. No, I'm not fit. No, I'm not that talented. I'm not that smart. We start to believe it. And that is so sad, because you have so many women walking around thinking that they're not pretty, thinking that they're not smart enough, thinking that they're not good enough. It's just not fair. So I really think that we need to change this message, and that is what I'm going to teach you to do, because I have put in the work. No, not every day is perfect. Sure, there's moments, because like, it's a society thing. Like, you see it from every angle. But overall, I just think back to that younger version of me before I was told these things by society. Who was I? I was a confident little girl that didn't care. And that's what I want to be as an adult. I want to be a confident woman that doesn't care. I don't care what you think. I can feel good and think that I look good, and it doesn't matter what you say, right? I want to be extra. I want to be myself. I want to show my personality. And if you think I'm too much, stop listening. Right? I want to show up as my authentic self, because deep down, that is how I show myself the most love. And that is how I start to love myself again, is if I'm truly myself. And that is showing up real. That is showing up loud. If you know me, you know I like to crack a joke. That is making jokes all the time, because I think I am freaking hilarious. Okay, obviously you guys don't see that side of me, but you know, I am the loud one in the room, and that is okay. And every time I show up in a room and I try to dim my light, try to blend in, I start to hate who I really am. I start to tell myself she's not good enough, she can't show up. But as soon as I just let myself be me, I learn to love myself again. So that is the message I'm trying to share with you today. You might have, obviously we're not all the same, but who were you before people messed you up, before people told you that that wasn't okay? I want you to think about who you were, and I want you to try to live as that adult version. Who would she be? Is she artsy? Is she like, does she wear crazy clothes? Show up as your real self. That is step one into finding confidence again, into really loving yourself again. Because the problem with spending years making yourself invisible is you eventually do start to believe that you don't matter, that you're not good enough, and the real version of you is bad. And that is the root of self-hate. That is where it all starts. Now, eventually dimming your light turns into not loving yourself, eventually turns into I hate myself, picking myself apart. And guys, I've been there. I remember like looking in the mirror and hating what I saw. But that is insane, because if you can mentally just tell yourself you are disgusting, can't you just mentally tell yourself that you're amazing? It works both ways. And I was so sick and tired of tearing myself apart when I looked in the mirror that I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. I need to start changing this self-talk. So I did. And the first step was I started to think back to when I was a kid, showing up as the version of you who didn't care, the one who sang in public, wore crazy clothes, made up dance choreography with her friends and showed anybody in the neighborhood who would watch, said exactly what she felt. That is who I want to be as an adult. So you just need to remember who you are to the core and start living like that. That version of you didn't care who was watching because she loved herself. She liked who she was and she showed up as her real self. She trusted that she was enough, and you can get there too. If you can make yourself hate yourself, you can love yourself again too. And that's who we're trying to get back to, the real you. Before all the rules, all the judgment, all the conditioning, like we need to undo that. And how do we do that? You need to make yourself visible again. Visible. You need to show up as your real self. Take up space. You need to start wearing the clothes that make you feel good, even if they stand out, especially if they stand out. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You let yourself be loud. You let yourself be seen. Even trying to just accept compliments. That's a big step. When somebody tells you something good about yourself, say thank you and start to believe it. Because every time you show up as your true self, you are actually reprogramming your brain to say, hey, it's safe to be me again. And every time you dim your light and show up as your fake self, you're telling yourself it's not okay to be you. So obviously, if you want to love yourself again, step one is showing up as your real self. And just being around women for years and years, I've just noticed like a few key points that we all do. You know, and first one was being invisible, right? If we want to start loving ourselves, we need to be visible. And the second point is guilt. Like so many women have so much guilt. So many women feel like they're never doing enough. So we're going to talk about guilt because holy moly, women are experts at guilt. And let me tell you, I've reached expert level. Like if there's something beyond expert level, I reached it. We feel guilty for everything. We feel guilty for resting. We feel guilty for saying no. We feel guilty for not doing enough. We feel guilty for doing too much. We feel guilty for taking time for ourselves. We feel guilty for just like being. It's like no matter what we do, we're doing it wrong. I think that comes back to the part of this idea of being a good woman means being selfless. So always giving, always doing, always holding it all together. And it's actually impossible to do that. And I think that's why we always feel guilty, because there's just absolutely no way we can do it all. There is no way we can show up for everybody all the time. The people who do that, they are never showing up for themselves. And hence, if you're never putting love into yourself, if you're not showing up as your real self and taking the time for yourself, you don't love yourself. It's like no matter what we do, we're doing it wrong, right? We always, should I be doing this? I should be doing that. I'm guilty. Like I didn't do enough today. I didn't get my workout in. I'm too tired to help my friend. I was short with my children because I'm exhausted. I think it all comes back to the idea of being a good woman means being selfless, always giving, always doing, always showing up as this like perfect version. And if you show up in any other way, you're a bitch, you know? But man, we are freaking tired. Are you not tired? Because I am tired. And add on kids to that. You cannot love yourself if you are constantly neglecting yourself. You cannot, let me repeat that. You cannot love yourself if you are constantly neglecting yourself and always putting everybody first. Like, and I love that analogy from flying in the airplanes. It's like the oxygen mask, you have to put yours on before you help your child. I think the same comes in life. You cannot show up as the best, happiest, loving version of yourself if you are putting everybody first. And for anything, you need to make sure you're good, you're okay, you love yourself, you put time into being, into loving and respecting yourself before you show up for other people. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. We've heard this, but we're still doing it. We are still doing it. Most women are out here scraping from the dust at the bottom of the cup and still saying yes to everyone. And what happens over time is that you start to build resentment. You're exhausted. You put no time into loving yourself, so you hate who you've become. Maybe you've neglected your health, your fitness, and now you hate who you see in the mirror. And you start to feel like you don't even recognize who you are on the outside, on the inside. You feel like nobody appreciates what you do, and you fell out of love with yourself. But the truth is, you just stopped seeing you. You just stopped prioritizing yourself. And the good news is, and you can start now. It is never too late to start prioritizing yourself. You can still show up for people after you make sure that you're okay. Think about it this way. If a parent neglects their children, never gives them attention, never feeds them, never makes sure that they're okay with their physical self, not letting them move their body, not telling themselves that they're beautiful, that they're lovable, that they're smart, we'd all say that this parent, sucks, but this child is going to learn that they are ugly, that they're not lovable, that they're not enough. But that is exactly what you're doing to yourself. So instead of the parent neglecting the child, you're neglecting yourself. You're not giving yourself attention. You're not showing love to your physical self, your mental self. You're not telling yourself that you're smart, you're beautiful, whatever. If you tell yourself the opposite of that, you're going to believe that you're ugly, you're not enough. If you tell yourself that you are those things, you can believe it. It's the same thing. You need to focus on you first. That is a huge step into loving yourself again. When I see so many women doing this, it's like, why do you treat your own needs like they're not worth caring for? Why are you not worth it? Because are you really going to love yourself? Are you going to feel your best self, your happiest self, if you don't show up for yourself? And as becoming an adult, I've been an adult for a while, but let's be clear. Do you ever really feel like an adult? And you learn these patterns from your parents often, your mother, your aunts, older siblings, or the other women in your life. Don't you wish that somewhere along the way, somebody would love themselves enough to put themselves first? And that guilt ties into boundaries. You are not setting a boundary that you need to prioritize yourself before giving the world everything you have. Because if you constantly drop everything for everyone else, you are literally telling everyone else that you do not matter and that you are not a priority. And when you do that long enough, you stop believing that you're worth love or attention or being a priority. So if you want to learn to love yourself, you need to reframe this. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop feeling guilty for putting yourself first. And trust me, this is a very uncomfortable for something that you've done for so long. When you change something, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But the good news is it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to make this feel like the new normal. You are not selfish for resting. You are not lazy for taking a break. You are not a bad friend, mother, or partner for saying, I can't right now. You are setting a boundary. And boundaries are love. Because when you set that boundary, you allow your cup to refill so you can show up as the best version of you, not as the tired, grumpy, bitchy, angry, depleted, hating yourself version of you. Because nobody wants you to show up that way. Show up as your best self. And that means loving yourself, loving your time, loving your energy, loving your peace, loving you. Setting that boundary. You need to come first. So instead of guilt, can we switch this to gratitude? Because I have found through reshaping a lot of these habits and societal norms throughout the years is for me to change. It wasn't like I could just stop doing it. It's like I needed to shift my mindset. And that's worked with me for nutrition too. Like instead of being like, okay, I want ice cream at the end of every night. It's like, okay, I'm going to make myself a big bowl of yogurt with protein powder. Like if I just switch it for something that's a bit better, I find it for me easier to stick. Start practicing gratitude. So instead of switching, oh, I feel bad for resting, I should be doing more. Say, I'm grateful I gave myself time to recharge. Instead of feeling guilty for not doing enough and having a messy house, because is it possible to always have a clean house? I think it's impossible. What I tell myself on the days that I just do not have the energy to show up, I tell myself that I am proud that I did what I could today. I am proud of myself for saying no. I am proud of myself for saying I need to rest. I am grateful for allowing myself to put myself first and to not burn myself out. I am grateful that this rest will turn into energy tomorrow so I can show up as my best self. Because when I would push through and force myself to clean when I didn't want to, and force myself to cook, to be a good wife, be a good daughter, I would show up angry. Be like, here's your freaking food. I cleaned the freaking house. What did you do? And that is not who I want to be. It's just no longer being guilty, setting a boundary, because it is okay to say no, right? Where did we learn that we can't say no? Say no. No. Trust me, if you say no more, other people will show up. And it's funny, like when I am too exhausted to clean, too exhausted to cook, instead of being angry, bitchy, powering through, I will communicate that clearly to my husband. And I have a good partner and he will show up for me when I cannot show up. He will step up. He will, because if you're in a real partnership, if you keep setting that boundary that like, I cannot do it all, they will show up more and more for you. But if you've always done it and you always show up, no matter what, even when you're tired, you can do it. Why would anybody step in and help you? Make room for people to show up for you. And final point, how to break free from the constant pressure. We're going to talk a bit more about the massive piece of self-hate, Now we're going to talk about the final point, how to break free from constant pressure. We're going to dig a little deeper into what I think is a big piece of the puzzle on why we start to hate ourselves is the shoulds. And I quickly mentioned this before, but let's dig deeper. The shoulds. The I should work out more. I should eat better. I should be happier. I should be more successful. I should be thinner. I should be calmer. I should be better. I should be prettier. Every should is a micro message to your brain that says you are not enough as you are. And when you tell yourself that 50 times a day, I think I used to tell myself that at least that, maybe 100 times a day, of course you feel like shit. So let's flip it. Every time you catch yourself saying, I should, replace it with, I want to, or I choose to, because should comes from guilt and I want to comes from power. So I should work out comes from feeling crappy about our body, crappy about resting, about, thinking we look bad, feel bad, thinking we should, that we're not enough. Saying I want to work out comes from being strong, powerful, fit. It's a power move. I want to. I want to work out. I should work out feels really heavy and shameful, like something's not right. And I want to move my body because it makes me feel good comes from love. And if you are trying to love yourself, it's about changing how you talk to yourself. So you see the difference? It's not going to happen overnight. There are times where I still say I should, but I'm catching myself. Every time I say I should, I try to reword that sentence into trying to not think of guilt and how can I reword it to come from love? Because you're not going to get it right away. But instead of I should eat better, say I want to eat a healthy meal, a nutrient-dense meal. And that comes from love because I want to feed my body something good so I feel good because I love myself. I should do more for work. No, I want to do a podcast today because I love my work and I love showing up for people to help them better their life. Because if I can do anything in this world, it's not just helping people with their physical, it's like transforming their life with the mental. And that is why I'm so obsessed with this podcast because they go together. Movement and how you speak to yourself mentally go together. And the people can figure out both at the same time, thrive. And that's what I want you to do. Thrive from the inside out. And like I said, you are not going to get it right away. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a step-by-step process. But the more you can be aware and start to change, start to reword how you speak to yourself, this is where the change comes. And if you mess up, this is where forgiveness comes in. Like if you miss the workout, not beating yourself up about being guilty that you didn't do it. It's forgive yourself, give yourself grace. And guys, like when I started to do this with food and workouts, I got in the best shape of my life because I wasn't leading with stress, guilt, saying I'm not good enough. Every time I missed a workout, I would tell myself, I am grateful that I was able to listen to my body and give myself rest. If I overate, instead of beating myself up over it, which caused a snowball effect for the next day, waking up doing cardio, trying to fast as long as I could. No, if I eat whatever the heck I want one night, instead of beating myself up, I will say like, hey, I really needed that. That felt good to just let go. That night, like that was such a fun, snacky moment. Good for me. I enjoyed that, because who said that you have to be perfect to get fit? Where did we learn this false information? Because it is not true. Let me tell you, as somebody who is now in the best shape of my life at 39, I work out less than I ever have, and I eat like whatever I want. Because instead of saying I should eat this, I fuel myself from love. It comes from love. So I am often choosing healthy meals. And if I don't stress out. I don't peak my cortisol by feeling like crap. I tell myself, hey, that was delicious. I love food. I want to enjoy food. That was yummy. I'm going to enjoy that. I move on because I give myself grace and I forgive myself because life is not about being this perfect robot. It's about living. Because you cannot hate yourself into becoming the person you want to be. You cannot guilt yourself into becoming the person you want to be. You can only love yourself there. Think about that. You can only love yourself into becoming the fit person that you want to become, the happy person you want to become, the amazing partner, mother, family member. You can't keep shaming yourself, guilting yourself, and talking badly about yourself and expecting it to change. Because has it worked for you so far? Ask yourself that. Every time you tell yourself you suck, does it make you show up better? No, it does not. Now is the time to start loving yourself, showing yourself grace, and stop feeling guilty. Start being grateful. So here's the truth. You didn't come into this world hating yourself. You learned it. Which every time I have an insecurity, every time I feel like I'm not enough, I think back to that young version of me. And I should mention this. Maybe if you had a really hard childhood, it was ingrained into your brain in your earliest memory that you were not enough, okay? But let me tell you that that is just shitty parenting, shitty childhood. You didn't deserve that, but it is not too late for you to change that. It's with all these tools that I'm telling you, right? Because they put this false information into your brain. You can change it at any time. No baby comes into this world hating themselves. Their environment teaches them that. Their environment teaches them to be invisible, teaches them to feel guilty for existing. The environment teaches you that you should do more, be better, that you're not enough, until you start to really believe it and in time start to hate yourself. But the good news is you can unlearn all of that. And guys, I have not only had to unlearn that for my mental health, but I unlearned this with food because of so much diet cultures out there. They are feeding you so much fear-based information. Don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that. That's not how I want to live. I want to live I love food. So I just started to unlearn every toxic diet piece of information I ever learned. And I started fresh. And that is how I healed my relationship with food. Same thing with fitness. I learned, fasted cardio, do this, do that, train 6 times a week. Nope, not doing that either. I unlearned all that and restarted. And what did I do? I tried things out. I'm like, I freaking hate cardio. Cardio is coming from a place of punishment for me. Maybe at one point it wasn't, but it definitely turned into this like burn calories, be thinner, run longer. And I'm like, I'm only going to do cardio when it comes from a place of love. And let me tell you that it's like never happens anymore. I only do weights and I'm in the best shape of my life. Like I love how I look now more than I've ever loved how I looked. But it's not only like physical, it is mental. Like it came from that mental spot. I show up for myself with love. I'm not punishing myself with exercise. I am showing up with love. So I unlearned everything I thought I knew. I thought I need to do cardio every day. No, you don't. You don't, girlfriend, because that was increasing my stress, forcing me to eat more, overeating at night, trying to starve myself all day, doing more cardio. It was just like that. In what world is that going to make you your fittest, happiest self? Like, often I say this a lot. When you're in it, it seems like you think you have it figured out, but let me tell you, you don't. If it feels very painful, it is not right. Life is made to enjoy. You are made to thrive. You are made to show up as yourself, love yourself, and take up space because you are amazing as you are. And what is amazing about you is different what's amazing about me because we are all unique. So show the world who you really are because that is what we want to see. We don't need another me. We need you. So let's make ourselves visible again. Set those boundaries. Let go of guilt. Start to be grateful for everything in your life, for yourself as you are right now. Because if you can't love yourself as you are right now, you're not going to love yourself by hating yourself. Give yourself grace. Did you have children? Have you been busy? Are you a working mother? Oh my goodness, give yourself grace. Good freaking job. You did amazing. And now, are you going to put time for you? Don't shame yourself or guilt yourself over maybe not doing it before. Be proud that you're doing it now. Stop saying I should have done it before. Start to say I choose to do it now. And when you do that, when you start living for you, not the version of you the world told you to be, that's when real self-love begins. Not the fluffy kind, not the affirmation fake kind, which there's nothing wrong with affirmations, but I remember when I was in this journey and affirmations sounded like insane to me. Like I could not get there. But doing it with these 3 steps, like the shoulds saying I choose, the guilt saying gratitude, that helped me. Remembering who I was as a young girl, that helped me. And if you don't have that young girl to lean back to, then maybe who do you want to be? Just start living as that, unapologetically, right? Because it is never too late to live the life you are meant to live, to be the happiest version of yourself, to thrive fully. The time is now. I want you to become the real, grounded, deep version of you that you deserve. The version of you that says, I love me, I trust me, I've got me, I matter. So here's your challenge for this week. Show up as the real you in one small way. Maybe it's adding that extra scarf. Maybe it's wearing the funky glasses. Maybe it's doing your hair in a crazy way, Say what you really think. This is a big one for me that I'm still working on, is stop being quiet. Say what you feel, say what you think. Stop just blending in. Do the thing that lights you up, even if someone is rolling their eyes, because I guarantee somebody will roll their eyes. And why would you change your life to accommodate the person who's not in your corner, the person who doesn't deserve any of your attention, right? That doesn't make sense. Don't live your life for the haters. Don't live your life for the people who don't have their stuff figured out. Live your life for you, and you will find the people that deserve to be in your corner. Be visible, take up space, be unapologetically yourself. Because every time you do, you're teaching yourself that it is safe to be you, that you matter, that you are lovable, that you are enough. And that is how you stop hating yourself and start loving the hell out of who you are. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. That's all I have for today. And if this episode hit home for you, I would really appreciate it if you review the podcast. If you feel inclined to give it a 5-star, I really appreciate it. Share it on any social media platform. I super, super appreciate it. I appreciate all the messages you guys send me. That is what's keeping me going. I'm so excited for the next episodes. If you haven't checked out my last episodes of Thriving Out Loud, make sure to follow the show, tune in, and tell me. I love hearing your guys' feedback. What stood out the most for you in this episode? I'd love to hear it. I'd love, love, love to hear it, because I want to help you guys change your life and start thriving out loud. So if you haven't yet, go subscribe, because that's exactly what we're going to continue doing here. Healing, growing, becoming the version of ourselves that feel free. You are worthy of love, especially your own love. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.